All right, we're back. We're back in civilization. There's actually sunshine today. It's so nice. Um, it's been just about 24 hours since Sarah picked me up at the fish hatchery trailhead after a successful Direttissima. Woohoo! And 21 days. So shaved some time off. Last year, 25 days. This year, 21 days. With also starting in late April and then basically quitting and then starting all over again in late May and getting it done. Yeah, what a great experience. I don't want to say this one was harder than the last one because it's just different, right? Different conditions. Last year, I mean, this is the fifth time that I've tried to do a Direttissima. The first two times I tried, I failed miserably because I wanted to do it all unsupported, have everything with me from beginning to end, and just with the mileage I was doing, I wasn't gonna have enough supplies. So then the third time I tried last year, late April, did it. It was awesome. And I was just focused on doing it. I wasn't really worried about the days. I definitely wasn't. I mean, I was pushing, but I wasn't like pushing to combine peaks or I just wanted to complete it. That was the goal. So my mindset this year was to complete it faster. And initially my mindset was to do a yo-yo, to go from Moosilauke to Cabot and then all the way back to Moosilauke, which is why I initially started, I think it was April 25th maybe. It was late April. And I went out, started at Moosilauke, and after 7 or 8 days, the conditions were so bad, especially like going over Franconia Ridge. I just had to bail, came home for a couple days, went back out, back up to Lafayette and continued. But at that point, it really wasn't a Direttissima in my mind anymore. And the snow was just, the conditions on the trail weren't great. The weather wasn't great. And I just quit. And it was the right call. So I came home for a few weeks and then decided to start all over again and try and do another Direttissima. So I got dropped off at the Moosilauke trailhead, May 21st, and just started all over again. But really with the mindset of doing it in better than 25 days, and was able to do that. I think one of the most surprising things to me was Sarah came with a resupply at the location where I got my second resupply last year. So I went all the distance this year that it took me 2 resupplies to go last year. And I think basically with the help of being able to pick up Cliff Bars and candy bars from the hut and being able to pick up some supplies from the Mount Washington Food Service, I think I could have potentially done the whole thing without a resupply. Because I switched from like doing just like freeze-dried meals to adding more ramen soups, adding more north sides, adding more mashed potatoes, and they take up a little less space and still fill you up. So something to think about if I go for another one in a couple of years. That was interesting. But yeah, as far as like, it's interesting to compare the 2 successful Direttissimas. The last 8-9 days of weather on this one were just terrible. Almost no sun, a lot of rain, wet tent every night, just very demoralizing conditions, no views on the summits. wet feet, wet feet, wet feet. But I was able to push myself on a few days and really gain some ground on last year, which I was really happy about. Like combining Carrigan and Hale, that was huge. And after the setback on Mount Madison, combining Adams, Jefferson with the big road walk to the Star King trailhead, that was huge. And there's some other ones I'm forgetting. And, you know, I did Owl's Head the same way this year. It was nice. It's nice to have that little base camp break to doing out and back to Owl's Head. But there are other ways to do Owl's Head where I probably could have shaved some miles potentially. Yeah, it was just another great trip. I'm glad I got it in. I'm glad I stuck out the bad weather at the end. None of this is possible without my wife, Sarah, you know, being able to change her plans to come out and resupply me and then come pick me up at the end. And it's great having like cell phones coverage, enough at least to do text messages. And the one or two nights where I didn't even have that option, it's so great to have that InReach Mini. You just link it with your phone via Bluetooth and can communicate, so I could still communicate with Sarah, and that's huge. And of course she can just follow my track the whole time, which is great. Yeah, definitely gonna remember this one, and I'm really excited to put the videos together. I've already forgotten so much, like I barely remember the first week, what even happened the first week. So it'll be good to go back and rewatch the videos and edit them and put them up, so I remember what the heck happened. Yeah, I highly recommend it. You know, there's definitely folks who are just insane who like go for the fastest known times for this route, and I think it's down, don't hold me, I didn't look it up, I should have, but don't hold me to this, but I think people have gotten it down to 8 days or 7 days. Just insane. When I think it took me 21, and I was like not pushing my hardest, but pushing pretty hard on some of it. And to think that people are doing it in 7, 8, 9 days, it's just mind-boggling. I mean, they're not backpacking it, so they're not carrying the heavy pack I'm carrying, but they're still doing the miles and doing the elevation. And I probably should do a better job of explaining. You know, it's 48 of the highest peaks in New Hampshire, all of them over 4,000 feet, some over 5,000, one over 6,000. A lot of up and down. So not only is it the miles, which can vary depending on the route you take. I think it's between 250 to 275 in mileage. And then the elevation gain is 75,000 to 85,000 feet, depending on how you do it. And sleeping in a tent every night, 20 nights in a row. Crazy, but a lot of fun. So, another great trip. If you got this far, thanks for watching. I really enjoyed putting these. I wish cell phone cameras were this advanced 10 years ago when I was doing different trips and I had video, videos of it to like remember down the road instead of just pictures. But yeah, it's really cool. Sarah and I have like a week or two to reorganize and repack for our West Coast backpacks. That EMS tent and sleeping bag I've been using for probably about 12 years now and has gotten a lot of use. I think I may be finally sending them off into the sunset. They've served me well. I definitely got my money's worth out of both of them. I've definitely used them, I think, a lot more than the average person would. So I think it's time to say goodbye to both of them. Fare thee well. I've already got another like sleeping bag in the wings and another tent ready to go for my solo adventures. And with aspirations and hopefully to do the PCT next year. So these Direttissima have kind of been shakedown hikes to really zone in on what works and what doesn't work. As far as like, of course, because I want to log it, I'm taking more battery power with me than probably a normal through hiker would take, just because I want to have video of it. So dialing that in. I really like the headlamp I used this time. It's the Nightcore headlamp with a USB-C port. So I've basically gotten to a point where I don't have to carry any batteries. Like I don't have to carry any AA or AAA batteries ever again. Just the battery packs and the charging cables, which is great. That's saving weight and just saving extra things to take. So other than that, the lighter, the big lighters, and making sure I'm good on that, and the ignition, working on my stove in case the lighters have issues when they get wet. Basically, yeah, I was just managing the rain this trip and what the rain does to the gear. So dialing all that in, which is great. Other than that, already it's only been like 24 hours. My feet are already almost like 90% back as far as like blister or tender spots. And everything else feels great. My back, my shoulders, my legs, no issues at all. My contact lenses, had them in for 20 days straight, no issues, no problems. I love those contacts. They just always work fantastic. Yeah, I think like my Patagonia Torrent Shell, my windbreaker, it's starting to peel apart, but I've had that for like 12 years as well, so I'll probably replace that out. All the other gear did great. I feel like I wasn't taking any gear that I wasn't actually using, except for some like med kit gear. Just because I'm on a blood thinner, I do carry some extra stuff if I need to, if I would ever get a deep cut or a bad cut, so I can just stop the bleeding. But that's it. Yeah, another great trip. It's kind of weird being back with all the stimulation back in the real world. Kind of adjusting back to that. Went through like 800 unread emails. Mostly, I mean, deleted 95% of them without even reading them, but there's a few in there that I had to deal with, and online banking and all that fun stuff. So back in the real world, it was a great trip, and I'm glad I was able to complete it, especially after like failing, but then still getting back out there, starting from scratch and doing it. And you know it was bad weather because I didn't like see a ton of people, especially that last week. So definitely a challenging, they're all challenging, but this one, you know, had a different flavor to it than last year, which is good. I camped at different spots, had different experiences. Awesome. So that's it. Sarah and I will see you with some new backpacking videos over the summer and the fall out west. Check them out if you're interested. Again, it's a different experience when you're backpacking as a couple, as opposed to solo. So it's fun, it's awesome, it's just different. So that's it. Signing off after getting another Direttissima done. Will there be another one? Who knows? Depends on how the through hiking goes. So stay tuned for that as well. Thanks.